Now it is with great pleasure that I introduce this morning's speaker. We are so fortunate to have here with us today a woman who is a charismatic, inspirational leader with over 25 years of healthcare and nonprofit experience. Currently serving as the interim executive director for the National Association of Health Services Executives, Joy is a 3-time graduate of the University of Michigan, where she remains very active with her alma mater, mentoring young professionals. As a seasoned public speaker, Joy addresses topics as wide-ranging as mental health, nonprofit board development, community health, leadership, and emotional intelligence. Inducted into the Michigan Chronicle's Women of Excellence community in 2014, Joy serves on the Board of Trustees for the Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan and is the proud mom to her daughter Vashti, who lives with epilepsy and is now a senior at Hampton University. I know her presentation will empower and inspire you, so without further ado, please join me in welcoming Joy D. Calloway to the stage.
Good morning, good morning. Ooh, I should let you all know I am the child of a preacher and a teacher, so when I speak, you must respond. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Thank you, thank you. We're getting us set up here. I want to meet her. She sounds like a cool chick. I like that. Mind games, playing to win. That is our topic for the morning. What do you think of when you hear the term mind games? My thoughts are not initially wonderful. I think about getting played, about getting had. I don't know what the term is, about getting catfished, perhaps. As I said, I'm the daughter of a preacher and a teacher, so I think in acronyms. So when I wanted to think about what to say about mind games, I thought about mind games, the acronym, and what mind games mean to me. I thought about manipulation, for the M, stay with me. I thought about insincerity and how people would say one thing and mean another. I thought about negativity. I thought about domination. What do you think about when you think about mind games? I thought about gaslighting. That's the new term. You doing something to make me think I'm crazy, even though it's not me. I thought about abuse, mental and emotional perhaps. I thought about minimizing and how small I felt when someone was playing with my mind. I thought about being embarrassed at realizing it had happened. And I thought about that sinking feeling, mind games. That's what we know and that's what we think about. But today I want to flip the script. Today when we talk about mind games, I want you to think about how do you play a mind game with yourself so that you can win in life? How do you take control of your own mind so that you get out of your life what you want from it, what it was designed to offer the world? The mind games I want you to play with yourself today are about intellectual stimulation. The mind games I want you to play with yourself today are about mental discipline, about mental and emotional wellness, and about self-care. So those are the mind games we're going to talk about for a few minutes. Are you all with me? Is that okay? I told you who I am. Is that okay? There we go. Thank you. But first, what I want us to do is to clear the space in our minds. This is a part of mental discipline, being able to clear your mind so that it is fertile soil to receive all that the Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan has for you today. So we're going to do a quick mind-clearing experience. And I know some of you all are going to poo-poo this and how this is hokey, and we'll let you have your cluttered mind. The rest of us are going to play along. We're going to sit up straight in our chairs. We're going to put our feet flat on the ground. We're going to close our eyes. I'm going to walk you through 7 breaths. I like the number 7. It's completion. The first 2 will be on your own, and I'll direct that gently. The last will be on your own. The ones in the middle, I'm going to talk you through. You're going to take a deep breath in your nose. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for a second. Breathe it out through your mouth. Hopefully everybody got that Colgate and close-up working this morning. Take another one in. 1, 2, 3, hold it for a second. Eyes are closed. Breathe one out. Okay. Third one in. I want you to think about all the things that are going on in your life, all the craziness. Hold it at the top. I want you to blow that stuff out today. Number 4, breathe in, 1, 2, 3. At the top of it, hold it. Any distraction that might be in your way today that will keep you from getting, breathe out what you're supposed to get. We're gonna let that go today. Breathe in, 5th breath, 1, 2, 3. At the top, all those definitions of mind games that you've been taught, we got a new definition today. Breathe it out. Number 6, breathe in, 1, 2, 3. At the top, hold it. Set the intention for clearing a space for positive transformation today. Blow it out. Your last one is on your own. Breathe in and breathe out. I declare your mind clear for everything that's happening today. Come back to the room. The mind games I want you to play today, as I said, are about intellectual stimulation, mental discipline, mental and emotional wellness, and self-care. We all know, and if you don't, I'll tell you now, the mind is a battlefield. And how do we prepare for battle? We plan, we strategize, we make sure that we're appropriately resourced, we make sure that we are physically and mentally fit, we assume control, we secure resources, and we execute our plans. The mind games that we're going to quickly talk about, I'm going to share with you through sharing 7, surprise, of my favorite quotes. I love our minds, the brain, and all its magical and mystical capabilities. It's amazing what the brain can do. I think about my 86-year-old father with advanced dementia. He can't tell you what he had for breakfast, but he can run down that military ID number. He can tell you that he was married to my mother for 54 years before she passed away last month. He can tell you that. He can tell you their first address. I think about my daughter's client that she works with, He has some mental challenges, cognitive challenges. But if you tell him your date of birth, January 4th, 1968, he can say that was a Thursday. It's amazing. I think about the young child that was in a horrific car accident, had a TBI, traumatic brain injury, and after that injury, she was able to play the piano like a virtuoso. The mind is amazing. We can and we must embrace all that our minds can do and make sure that we keep them healthy. How do we do that? We play games. We play Scrabble, my mom's favorite game. We play Scrabble. We do crossword puzzles. We learn a new hobby, a new language. Parlez-vous français? I was trying to do it in Spanish too, but I can't remember. We switch hands. I'm a right-hander, but I know how to write with my left hand and eat with my left hand. We figure out the things we can do to keep our minds strong. We watch movies that will make us think. Anybody remember Inception? You couldn't be sleepy watching that movie, could you? You had to figure that out. What layer are we on? We remember people's phone numbers, like back in the day, instead of just pushing a button on our phone. Integrity in this sense is the state of being whole. This is about mental and emotional wellness. How whole are our minds? And what do we do to keep them there? Our sanity is precious. My last traditional professional role, I was the president and chief executive officer of New Center Community Mental Health Services. I got to see firsthand the fine line between sanity and insanity. I got to see a young girl who was so tormented in her mind that she would dare to jump out of a car going 65 miles an hour on the Lodge Freeway. She was our patient. A man whose mind was so split that he would run down to the corner gas station, douse himself with gasoline, and try to set himself on fire. Sanity is precious. And unless you think that that's just for those kind of people that I just mentioned, in 2011, I found myself curled up in the fetal position in my living room floor in the midst of a mental health crisis because of a severe personal trauma. Mental illness and mental distress is not a respecter of persons. And so I ask you, what are you doing to make sure that your mental health is intact? First and foremost, look at yourself. Pictured by Faith Ringgold, it's called self-awareness. Do you know the boundaries of your mind? How much you can take? What are your boundaries? And what do you do to make sure that nobody crosses over them? I do a lot of speaking on fiercely protecting your mental health. And it doesn't matter whose toes might get stepped on, but I'm going to protect my mind. If you're causing me mental and emotional stress, pop goes the weasel, if anybody remembers that movie. You're out of here. You're out of here. Know your baseline and protect it. Seek respite. When things are getting to be too much, seek out the help. Professional help is available. And we've got to release the stigma on going to get the help that we need. I have a t-shirt. This is the story of my faith walk. I trust whatever you all believe in, and I respect that. I have a t-shirt that says, I talk to Jesus and my therapist, because one does not exclude the other. I have another t-shirt with her name on it, Pauline. Every once in a while, I just wear it. People say, who's Pauline? My therapist. This slide is about mental discipline. We control our minds, yet the world would make us think that other people or other things do. My mother used to say, if what is above you doesn't control what is within you, what is around you will. I ask you to take control of your mind. Think about the power of your mind. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. I think that was Henry Ford that said that. Think about that. You ever been taking laundry upstairs or downstairs? You got a little bit too much. Oh, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall. What do? 9 times out of 10, you're going to fall. How about you take that same energy and put it in a positive light? Put those thoughts in your mind. We are meaning-making machines. It's what we do. We make a meaning of everything. And what I'm challenging you to do is to make a positive meaning. Don't always go to the negative. We can create heaven of hell and hell of heaven in our minds. Let's choose the right one. When my daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy at 6 years old, I went down this whole path of all the horrible things that meant. I wasted a lot of good time and energy and effort. Then I met the Epilepsy Foundation of Michigan. And I learned that we live with, we don't suffer from. We live with, we experience life through the lens of epilepsy. And now I have an honor student who's a senior at Hampton University because we chose to make a meaning that was positive for her life. I ask you to consider what irrational thoughts you allow to come into your mind about your life. Do you take everything personally? If somebody out there yawns, oh my gosh, I'm so boring. Maybe they didn't sleep last night. Is it everything and all or nothing for you? These are irrational thoughts that we sometimes bring into our minds. I'd ask you to spend some time thinking about how much mental discipline you exercise over your own mind. And to that point, your mind is yours. And if you are playing to win, you get to control who sets foot in your mind. Think about that. How many of us live our life based on what other people think? What if Ashley Graham based her life on what other people think? Girl, you too big to be a model. That's my girl. Y'all know who Ashley Graham is? Yeah, this guy in front like, yeah, I do. $10 million woman. Because she chose who was going to come inside the alleys of her mind. I was going to play that song today. I don't know who remembers Cybertron. I was going to play that. Go listen to it when you go home. What if Oprah Winfrey decided to let other people in her mind when they told her she was not fit for television? Oprah doggone near owns all of television. She's worth $4 or $5 billion, right? So what I'm suggesting to you is you control the thoughts and the people that come into your mind space. Nobody in here can afford the rent to live in my mind, trust me. Altogether you can't, because it's my responsibility to protect that mind. Old people used to say you cannot stop birds from flying over your head. You know the end of it, but you can stop them from making a nest in your hair. That's your responsibility to protect your mind. One big piece of this is understanding that toxic things and toxic people have no place in your life. This is a tricky one, because what often happens is that the people that are most toxic to us are often closest to us. It takes a lot of courage, and for some, the need to learn a skill to get rid of those things and those people that do not align with your mental and emotional wellness goals. At the beginning of every year, I take some time with a group of people to develop mental and emotional wellness goals. We develop New Year's resolutions for everything else. What about how am I going to improve my mental status in 2020? What is that going to look like? And sometimes that looks like removing people from your life who are not aligned with your goals. Whether or not they live in your home or share your DNA, you have to consider if they are not aligned with what you want for yourself and your mental health, what are you doing to move them aside? And it can admittedly be difficult sometimes to choose between our own mental and emotional wellness and the habit or the tradition or the obligation we may feel to others. But I will tell you, if you've ever been in the fetal position in your family room floor, if you've ever seen the edge of your sanity, you recognize how precious it is, and it belongs to no one but me. No one but me. Similarly, for some of you, the toxicity in your life may be your job, your workplace, what you do for a living. And yet, because we get a special parking space, or because there are enough zeros on the paycheck, or because there's a specific title on my door, I put up with stuff that is not in alignment with my mental and emotional well-being, and it's slowly breaking me down. It's hard to walk away from things that add some level of value, even if it's mentally and emotionally damaging to you. I ask you to consider that. If you're playing to win, because those are the mind games we're talking about today, if you're playing to win, you choose the life that you're going to have. And sometimes that means walking away from something that may feel comfortable. When I coach people around this area, I just simply ask a question: how much is your sanity worth? And ask them to answer it. I was raised on the quote that said, "An idle mind is a devil's workshop." And then I had the opportunity to rethink that and really look at what the definition of idle really means. What does it mean to be idle? I don't mean the lazy and purposeless idle. I mean the still. How often are we just still in our minds? In the exercise this morning, while you all had your eyes closed and I was looking around the room, and I noticed those of you all who kind of had their eyes open or were looking around or were fidgety, no judgment, just an observation. Sometimes it's difficult, oftentimes it's difficult in a busy world to just be still. When's the last time that you were just still? Had the opportunity to just clear your mind of thoughts. Rest your mind. When you think about the world we live in and all the data that's coming, information that's coming at us all the time, our lives are like a CNN screen. Think about CNN. They got 9 people talking, and they got 3 rows of stuff scrolling at the bottom, and it's a sidebar. You're supposed to look at that. You all know what I mean. Our lives are like that. It's become so bad that we pride ourselves on being able to multitask. I can do 19 things at one time, and chances are none of them are good. And so I ask yourself, when you're playing to win, the mind game I'm asking you to play is one of stillness. Create a place of stillness for yourself. If you can't do it every day, do it every other day until it becomes habitual. Because a scattered and cluttered mind leaves room for people to jump and throw their thoughts in there. When you're able to be idle and to be still, you're able to understand more about what's happening in your life. When you're able to be idle and be still, you're able to understand more about what's happening in your life. I said that twice because I needed to hear it the second time. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. I don't know if any reggae fans out there. That's my dude. I absolutely love this quote. Think about that. Emancipate, free yourself from mental slavery, the bondage that you put on yourself. Ask yourselves, in what ways are you enslaving yourself in your thoughts? In what ways are you giving meaning to things that are happening in your life that are not positive meanings? Can I be personal with you for a minute? Just between us? I'm sorry, I'm a preacher's child, they forgot. Can I be personal with you for just a minute? Just us? Okay. I have been married twice and divorced twice. I could trap myself into believing that I'm unlovable, that I'm a bad wife, that I'm unworthy. And if I trap myself into that place, I'm going to live my life in a certain way, right? Or I can free myself up from those bondages. I actually started to date a guy. We were talking about, past relationships. You know what this man said to me? He said, "Oh, you're a two-time loser." I said, "And you are currently one as well." Click. I could either stay in that place and stay in that bondage, or I can release those chains around my mind and say, perhaps I look at how I choose my mates. Perhaps I consider that I bonded with someone who was not ready for that experience, right? I can change how I think. I can release the bondage that's on my mind. I'm asking you to think about what are the ways in which you are enslaving yourself in your mind. Think about that. And I had to say this today, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. It's a terrible thing to have locked up. When you think about all the wonderful things that our minds can do, when we lock ourselves up, we don't get out of life what is designed for us. So think about it. We're going to pause for just a moment. How are you enslaving yourself in your mind? What part of your life is less than it was divinely designed to be because of you? Sometimes we are our own worst enemies when it comes to reaching our goals and meeting our objectives and what we believe about ourselves. There's the other side of this. Once you free your mind, the rest will follow. You singing the song, aren't you? Want to sing it with me? Go. Free your mind, the rest will follow. All right, we have to do that. Ponder this for a moment. What else in your life will be released to be all that it was designed to be when you free your mind? Who's stuck in the job that they don't want to be in? Who's stuck in the relationship that they don't want to be in? Who's stuck in the body that they don't want to be in because they don't choose to do something about it? They believe, I'm just big boned. That's my excuse. Think about that for a minute. The way to set the stage for all that is happening for you today in this place is to recognize that with all the experts and all the research and all the fabulous vendor partners that we have here and staff and board members, this really is not about any of them. It's about you and your loved ones. For those of you all who are caregivers, it's about you and your loved ones. Have you changed yourself to the idea that you can't have a life for yourself because you're a caregiver? Yes, you have an obligation to your family. And the divine and the ancestors will appreciate that. But at the same time, if you go down, what happens to them? I'm now a caregiver in the caregiving family for my father with advanced dementia, 86 years old. And yes, I am obligated and I'm honored to care for him. And I also know that if I'm doing it all day, every day, all night, every night, and I grind myself down into ash, then who's going to take care of Daddy? So I ask you, what part of you needs to be free? There's a song that says, can you tell I like music? There's a gospel song that says, take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. You know that? Y'all like, take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I love that. For today, I'm asking you to take the shackles off your mind so that you can dance, so that you can do the things that you were divinely designed to do. And you know what they are because they've been burning in your spirit for however many years. And I'm asking you to do what's necessary now to take those shackles off so that you can do it. There's a story that's told of a man who is observing a big elephant tied to a small stake with a small rope. Nod your head if you've heard this. The man looks at this giant creature, this beautiful creature, and this little stake and this short rope, and he's like, he asks the trainer, how are you holding that elephant with this little stake and this little rope? How is it that he's staying in that same spot and not going over here to the watering hole or over there somewhere else? And the trainer says, well, when he was a very small elephant, we tied him up to this small stake with this rope. And at that time, that small stake and that small rope could hold him because he was a small elephant. And every time he would try to pull away, he couldn't move. Every time he tried to pull away, he couldn't move. And so he began to believe that this stake and this rope can hold me, because at that point it could. And over time, he grew, but he never changed his mind. And so that's how I can hold a 2-ton elephant with this small stake and this rope, because his mind is not free. And because his mind is not free, his body is not free, and it won't be free. I'm going to close with this. In which of these areas do you most need to spend some time? Is it intellectual stimulation? Are you intellectually lazy? Haven't read a book? Haven't played a game, learned a new hobby, a language? Then what is happening to your brain over time? Is it turning to mush? If it is, it's your fault. If it's not intellectual stimulation, is it mental discipline? Is it putting people and things out of your mind that don't belong there? Is it raising the rent on how much it costs for you to be inside my head? Mental discipline. Is it mental and emotional wellness and health? Are you overstressed? Are you anxious? Are you depressed? And if you are, what are you doing about it? There's no judgment in any of those states. Those things come because life happens. But what responsibility are you taking for your mental and emotional wellness? What are you doing about it? Or is it self-care? Because as you care for yourself, the benefits rise up to your brain. And self-care doesn't mean a $500 day at Bab's Spa. It doesn't mean that. It might mean, a $20 day at the foot spa at the mall, and you get to sit there for a minute. Or it might mean when everybody's out of the house, you just turn everything off and lay on the couch and just be still. It might mean taking that vacation that your boss keeps saying, you got all this time, you're going to lose it. What does self-care mean to you? A walk in the park, some journaling, a dance class. I want you to play mind games, the new ones that we've defined today, because I want you to play to win. But I can't want more for you than you want for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. Have a great day today. We appreciate you being here.
So any presentation that has Bob Marley in it is off to a great start, in my opinion. Joy and deepest gratitude for being with us here today. We have a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much.
We hope it will serve as a reminder of the lives that you have touched here today. Thank you, and everyone please join me in a final round of applause for Joy D. Calloway. Thanks, Joy. That was incredible. Thought-provoking, very inspiring.